She looked up casually, until her glass slipped from her hand, shattering on the floor. Her lips trembled. Jason. He didn't smile. He didn't speak. He just stood there, staring at the woman who once swore she'd wait forever. Outside, Silas and Marcus watched through a tiny camera in Jason's collar, recording every word, every reaction. They zoomed in. Every angle. Every emotion. Jason took one more step forward, voice low and steady. "Long time, Amora." Her eyes filled with tears, but whether they were of guilt, shock, or something darker, no one could tell just yet. The silence in the study could cut glass. Amora stared at Jason as though seeing a ghost. Tears welled up in her eyes, but Jason's face remained cold, his emotions buried beneath years of pain. "I thought you were in prison," she finally whispered. "I was," Jason replied, voice calm. Until the truth started to crawl out of the shadows. He moved closer. She didn't flinch. "I didn't come here to fight," he said. "I came for answers." Amora's shoulders dropped. She looked exhausted and broken. "I knew this day would come," she whispered. "Every night I've been haunted, not by what I did to you, but by who I became." Jason's jaw tightened. "Talk." She looked down, then took a shaky breath. Through tears, she admitted. "I don't know where to start, my life has been a rollercoaster of emotions. Mr. Dominic is my uncle, the same man your father called an enemy. After my parents died, he took me in, but he wasn't kind. He abused me physically and emotionally, he controlled everything I did. When I was older, he forced me to date Raymond, your uncle, after his wife died. He said it was time I paid him back, for raising me and for his old vendetta and to secure his business empire. After his wife's death, we got close. I was vulnerable. He was powerful. He took care of me, gave me everything I thought I wanted. Before I knew it, I was living in his world, believing his lies. Then they connived again to push me to you, just to break you. To avenge your father's past. I was a pawn. Used. I was threatened and pressurized to work underground for them, disguising as your wife. I didn't know your parents then, I was still a girl when your father was killed, but he told me the truth. He showed me pictures. Videos. Documents. Jason's eyes darkened. He admitted he killed my parents. Amora nodded slowly. He said your father stood in the way of expansion. Said it was just business. Jason's fist clenched. He stayed still. The walls of the lavish study seemed to close in as the truth began to unravel. Jason stood still, arms crossed, gaze locked on Amora like a man staring at a ghost. The weight of years, betrayal, and silence filled the room. Amora's voice was low and shaky. "I never thought you'd be standing here again." Jason didn't respond. He waited. She took a breath, deep, broken. "You deserve to know everything." "Yes, please Amora, tell me everything, I mean everything." Jason's jaw tightened. "It wasn't an accident. None of it." She looked down in shame, then spoke. "I was the one who planted the cocaine and heroin in your car that day. I slipped the packets under your seat when we met at the restaurant. It was all planned. Raymond told me what to do." Jason stared at her, his expression unreadable. She continued. "But the brakes, that wasn't me. That was Raymond and my uncle. They paid a mechanic weeks in advance to slowly damage the brake system, make it look like a failure. He didn't want you alive." Jason's breath caught. He said it was the only way to keep his empire safe. That if you came back into power, you'd destroy everything he built. Her voice dropped lower. "And after the crash and the arrest, Raymond and my uncle were the ones who paid the price. I was involved too, acting like a robot for them, the bloggers. The journalists. Every ugly headline, every lie about you, came from us. They paid millions to bury your name." Jason didn't flinch, but the pain in his eyes said enough. "I betrayed you," Amora whispered. "For money. For comfort. For a life I thought I wanted. But I've been dying inside ever since. I eventually fell in love with you after I married you. I had wanted to tell you the truth. Several times I tried, but I was scared they would kill me. Jason's eyes were locked on her, his voice like gravel. And you let me rot in prison, knowing the truth. She nodded, tears rolling down her cheeks. I was afraid, Jason. I'm sorry, she said in tears, but that's not even the worst of it. Jason tensed. Amora reached into a drawer and pulled out a manila envelope. Slowly, she slid it toward him. I did a DNA test, she whispered. On a real. Jason opened it with trembling hands. And the world shifted. You're not her biological father, Amora said through broken sobs. Raymond is the father. I can't say how it happened, but I always see Raymond secretly after our wedding. I thought she was yours. I swear I did. Jason staggered back like he'd been struck. The little girl he loved. His daughter. Wasn't his. And the man who destroyed his life was her true father. Outside, Marcus and Silas sat frozen in the surveillance van, listening, recording everything. Every word Amora said was clear evidence. Finally, undeniable proof of Raymond's evil. Inside, Jason whispered, more to himself than anyone else. You didn't just break my heart, you helped bury my soul. The silence in the study after Amora's confession was deafening. Jason stared at the DNA report in his hands. A single tear rolled down his cheek, but his face was void of emotion. He folded the paper, slowly, carefully, like it was a fragile thing that could still cut him. Amora, I thought you loved me, I never knew you were a serpent. Amora stepped forward. Jason. I never stopped loving you, I still love you, please believe me. But your love for me not enough to tell me the truth before they ruined me, said Jason. He didn't even look at her. Her lips trembled, but Jason turned away. He walked toward the door. Jason, please. He stopped. His voice was low, almost a whisper. You planted drugs in my car. Had the press humiliate me. Took my child. Gave her to a killer. And now you want me to understand. Amora sank to her knees, sobbing. I regret everything. Jason paused, then looked over his shoulder, his voice colder than steel. Regret won't save you from what's coming. And with that, he stepped out. Outside the compound, Marcus and Silas were waiting, tension in the air. Jason walked out alone, eyes sharp. Jason handed Silas the envelope. Get that scanned, backed up, and sent to the right people. Jason's eyes darkened. Let's give the world a show. After Amora's confession and the undeniable evidence Silas captured, everything moved fast. The recordings, documents, and DNA results were leaked to media houses and exploded across social media. And the world saw the truth. Raymond and Dominic were arrested and dragged into court. Their crimes, murder, conspiracy, drug framing, and embezzlement. Amora was also arrested and convicted. The court delivered swift judgment. Mr. Dominic was sentenced to 35 years in prison for conspiracy, coercion, and aiding multiple crimes. Amora was sentenced to 22 years for her role in drug planting, attempted murder, and aiding a false prosecution. Uncle Raymond, the mastermind behind it all, was sentenced to life imprisonment. But as the judge delivered Raymond's sentence in the courtroom, the once powerful man collapsed. The weight of the verdict broke him. He was rushed to the hospital, slipping into a coma. Jason stood outside the courtroom, watching as Raymond was wheeled away. I trusted you, he said quietly, and you buried me. Weeks later, the news came, Raymond died in the hospital after suffering a heart attack and never regaining consciousness. Justice had spoken. Jason's name was cleared. His wealth, properties, and businesses were restored. The world now saw him not as a criminal, but a survivor, a fighter, and a man of resilience. Though the scars remained, but peace returned. One morning, standing on the balcony of his reclaimed home, Jason whispered to himself. I was framed. I was broken. But I'm still here. And that's enough. The end. Thanks for watching. Kindly subscribe, like and comment for more beautiful stories from crystalline mystics. You are valued,